Hey Computer, play About Bees podcast.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another exciting, rompous episode of the About Bees Culture and Curiosity podcast. This is Ron Miksha. I'm here with...
Bidzina Mosiashvili.
And?
A very special guest. This time from all the way from New Zealand.
No, not from New Zealand.
No, this is a common thing that everyone...
You've been advertised as somebody from New Zealand, and then we find out you're actually from... Wales, and we're so disappointed now.
I feel like Wales is, Wales was part of the colonization of New Zealand, so we kind of helped them along, you know?
Okay, so when you were there, you met a lot of kindred spirits.
I met a lot of people that had done those ancestry.
Oh, yeah. Ancestry.com.
Yeah, they made a lot of money out of Kiwis.
We all want to know where we're from when we're down there, huh?
I don't want to know where I'm from anymore.
You know where you're from.
Yeah.
You're from Wales.
I'm from Wales.
And your name?
Is Laura.
Laura?
Laura Barritt.
Barritt.
I didn't get a middle name because when I was born in the UK, you had to pay for a middle name. So my brother had the courtesy of having a middle name, and I didn't.
And then the family ran out of money, and they said, you know what, we don't really need a middle name.
Do you need a middle name? No, my brother has one, and I don't.
Yeah, if you really get desperate, you can break up the name Laura. So it would be Laura, Laura, yeah.
And then we'll see.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. So Wales originally, but New Zealand recently.
Yeah, I got my PR in New Zealand last year.
What the heck is a PR?
Permanent residency.
Oh.
And
then you revoked it right away.
And then I bounced.
And then you bounced. Boy, I hope that the government officials in New Zealand
I'll be back.
I've got
good,
to this.
Good investments over there. So.
Yeah, you're going to go back?
Probably not any time in the close future, but I have a pension scheme and stuff there. My partner's whole family are from there, so we will probably be touching. And there's great ski fields and lots of wonderful people that I'd quite like to go and drink a beer or eat some cake with. So
eat cake in New Zealand. Hey, I have a question for you. I thought of this on the way over here to the studio. You're from New Zealand, well, not from New Zealand, but you've lived in New Zealand.
Yep.
Do people who are from New Zealand, do they refer to them as being down under the same way that the Australians do?
That's almost like a taboo thing. If you
it's
like calling anyone in the world English. It's just it's not a very nice thing to say, you know. Yeah,
so the Welsh, I'm guessing, don't really want to be mistaken for English.
Oh no. It's like an insult.
And I
love my parents because they're English, but my family.
Your parents are English, but they were in Wales.
Yeah, they moved up there in the hippy-dippy eras of the 70s and 80s.
Oh, cute. Okay, so they must be roughly my age because I went through those hippy-dippy types of things. And well, some of us survived it. This sounds like your parents did.
They did. They had a great time. My dad was an Englishman in a Welsh village and fought his way into the community through there was a local band called Celt, and they needed a place to hold a gig, so Mum and Dad's back garden became their concert place. And
plus he played the acoustic bass too, didn't he?
He didn't. He just... My stepdad plays the bass, but my family are quite musical.
Oh, so, that's good. That's really
that's
good.
How they broke into the village.
Well, I would think an Englishman in a Welsh village would be very popular because when people get into a dispute about how they should pronounce something, they would just go run over to the English person and say, what's the correct way of saying y'all or whatever, right? That would make a person really popular.
My dad...
Did he correct people's English?
No, my dad can't pronounce any... the English, yeah. So the English places he would. Mm-hmm. My mum is from quite an affluent area in South England called Henley-on-Thames. And she speaks extremely well. My mum is very colonial in the way that she articulates herself.
Yes, we're not out here in Canada, so we hope that you'll be okay with our simple way of speaking, right, Betsina?
Yeah, we're just simpletons over here.
Simpletons.
My dad's from Romford, so...
Romford?
Romford, yeah.
Okay.
Romford's in Essex, so it's like the polar opposite. Dad was brought up in a very broken... My grandfather was a Cockney geezer, if that means anything. So
no, Cockney, yeah. Cockney geezer.
So
Hey, we're talking about bees, aren't
Anyway,
we?
we are talking about bees.
Yeah, this is
What
a
should we
beekeeping
talk about?
podcast.
Well, but, so is there beekeeping in probably Wales? There's got to be beekeeping.
There's a couple of beekeepers in Wales. I tried to reach out to some when I was deciding where to go out to New Zealand because I almost went back.
They
to
wouldn't
the UK.
talk to you.
They would talk to me, but they're small scale beekeepers. One of the biggest or the biggest colonies in Britain are in Scotland, so they
Right.
are
Right.
they were part of the Royals
Yeah. Yeah.
beekeeping hoo-ha.
Mm-hmm.
But Wales just has small. I mean, they still have a couple of hundred hives, and they predominantly sell honey locally, but it's not a kind of commercialized thing in Wales
It's
itself.
not a good place to keep bees. You know, it's just not, the climate just isn't there, and the type of soil.
Too
you
many
know.
people.
Well, I don't think that should stop people too much, because California is a huge honey producing place, and Florida certainly is.
Yeah.
So, but just the climate, when it's kind of foggy and gray, which I picture often.
Wales is, yeah. We have the
Yeah.
rainiest place in Britain is
That's
at the
what I
end of our
thought.
valley.
Right. And so Wales does have one thing going for it in the bee world, which puts it on the bee world map, and that's an organization called the IBRA, the International Bee Research Association.
I think that's in Machynlleth, eh?
Yes, it is. It is, and it was founded by an English lady
Okay.
who originally she set it up in Cardiff.
Oh, wow.
And she had her PhD in nuclear physics. And it was just about the time of the end of World War II.
Wow.
Yes. And she and her husband were gifted, as a wedding gift, a hive of bees. And she already had her PhD in nuclear physics, but because of the way the war ended, with 2 atomic bombs being dropped in Japan, Eva Crane is her name. Eva Crane decided that I don't know if I want to spend my life helping make, more atomic energy available if it's going to be used so destructively.
Yeah, right.
And she decided that this colony of bees was fascinating for her, and she had a very brilliant scientific mind. Anyway, Eva Crane, brilliant lady who founded several magazines, ran the IBRA for years and years, and I think she has written. I have 4 of her books at home, but I think
Wow.
she's written 7 or 8.
I might have to drop by your house and borrow one.
Oh, they're amazing. They're not that much fun to read. I'll be honest with that. They are amazing books on the basis of her scientific mind doing so much deep research.
Yeah.
So everything is footnoted.
Okay.
Like she came to Saskatchewan, Canada, and she'll talk a little bit like the honey production in this part of Saskatchewan has reached an astounding 20 kilograms in a week. And then she'll have like 6 footnotes after that. And the back of the book is thicker in references and footnotes than it is in the story that you've just read. Anyway, I wish I had met her. She's passed away since, but Eva Crane, originally English, and then moved to Wales. And that put Wales on the map for beekeeping. Not honey production, unfortunately. But
that makes sense.
So you were not a beekeeper back there?
I was not a beekeeper in Wales. I left the UK or Wales in 2013.
Oh,
So
okay.
a wee while ago.
Yeah.
2013. I was 19 years old, and I went down to Brighton and studied. at
That
the
must make you
University
about 31 years old.
It
I'm
makes
just doing
me
the math really
31.
quickly here.
Quick maths.
Yeah, right. I know how old you are. So 19 is a young age to be moving out of a country.
Well, so the United Kingdom is comprised of 4 countries, right? Ireland, Scotland, England, and Wales.
Okay.
And so I moved to another country, but it was still part of the same kingdom. And so I went from being part of the Welsh education system, and then I moved into the English education system. So my grants and so forth were slightly different, but they were very much, they overlapped each other quite a lot. So we just have in Wales, we have our own educational system that still has to go down to we call it Senate in Cardiff, and then it goes down to Westminster, I believe it is, and they kind of sit around in Congress there and go through everything together. But Wales itself has a separate educational system. So I still was in the same country, but I was studying in a different educational body kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And you were taught as a kid.
Yep.
You were taught in the Welsh language.
Yep. So I went to a Welsh primary school and a Welsh secondary school.
So can you say hello for us in the
This is
Welsh
not
language?
going to sound, it's just hello. So it's with one L instead of two L's.
Okay, then hello, how are you doing?
You say hello, sud ydych chi?
Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, now that's something that we don't hear every day.
You call a honeybee is gwenin mel.
Gwenny Mel.
Mel, M-E-L. But your E has a rooftop on it. We call it a torbach, so a little roof, torbach.
Like an accent?
Like an accent, yeah, on top of the
Diacritical mark or whatever you want to call it. But
Yep.
Mel.
Gwenin mel.
Gwenny Mel.
Yeah.
That sounds like the queen bee.
Gwenin mel means honeybee.
Okay.
Gwenin merch is a it's a wasp.
Wow. Well, I could see where we get that name.
Yeah.
It's a funny.
I don't like this thing. It's gonna
No.
hurt me.
It will, but the honeybee is beautiful.
Yeah.
And we'll move off of this topic, but
Okay,
I get this way. I've got one more thing about Wales that I
Yeah,
want to know
of
since
course.
we're talking about your language.
Yep.
I think I read one time years ago that the longest train station or something.
Of course, you're gonna say that.
Go ahead. Do you know it?
Yeah, of course. It's Llanfair PG for short. And then it's Llanfair Pwll Gwyngyll, Go Gerrill, Windropell, Santa Seiliog, Go Go Goch.
One more time for those who missed it. Pay attention, everybody. Here we go.
Llanfair Pwll Gwyngyll, Go Gerrill, Windropell, Santa Seiliog, Go Go Goch.
I love it.
But I will say that there is a town in New Zealand with a marginally longer. Gee whiz, this name in New Zealand is in Māori, and it is probably the length of the building that we're sat on, honestly. But kind of in the westernized world, Wales has or languages that are derived from Latin. I would say that the Welsh language has the
What an
longest.
amazing language.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and it's on the way up. So if anyone learns Welsh on Duolingo,
On Duolingo, yep, I'll sign
do
up
it.
for it. Yeah, I'm still working on my Hungarian Duolingo, but
Yeah.
that sounds
fun.
like a challenge. Yeah. Well, then you left when you were 19.
yep.
Lived in England or somewhere else?
Yep,
in
so
the...
I lived in Brighton for 3 years.
Brighton,
And
okay.
I studied at the University of Brighton, and then I lived in a wee seaside town called Hastings, and I studied computing and business as a joint honours.
Wow.
And then I left the UK in 2022. and
2022.
Got a one-way flight to Thailand, and 9 years later I'm in Canada.
Wow. So one-way flight to Thailand, they still let you into Thailand with a one-way flight?
Yeah, I'd worked my way through university, so I had 2 jobs, and I did volunteering and stuff. So I saved quite a lot of money when I was in university, and then I also worked for I did 7 months on oh my gosh, what do you call them? Like a corporate role. I was working for a sustainable building company for 7 months in a project in Wales, and then I got my flight out of there.
I see.
This whole long story.
So they sent you over there?
No, the project was coming to an end,
Oh.
and I had decided that I wanted to go and travel. So,
So
I thought-
Bangkok was the natural...
yeah, Bangkok was.
Might as well go there.
I think the flights. I think I'd gone on Skyscanner, and there was really cheap flights to Bangkok, and
Let's take that one.
I thought, well, I'll just see. And my family were hedging bets on how long that I'd stay there. I think my brother had like a 6-week bet on me.
Oh.
And,
Did he end up owing you money?
he didn't, but I think he lost by about 8.5 years so far. So
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, good
I wonder
for
if
you.
someone did 10 years.
Got to see the world. Did you get beyond Sawatdi when you were in Thailand?
I did. I spent about nearly 3 months there in the end, and then I did the whole Southeast Asia. So I did Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and then I lived in Australia for a year. I went back to Sri Lanka for about 3-ish months, and then I went back to Australia, and then I went to the Philippines for a similar length of time, about 3.5 months, and then I ended up in New Zealand about 6 months later. I had to go home because I to be honest with you, someone stole a lot of money from my bank account. So the British Embassy wouldn't take a note from a Filipino doctor in the Philippines. And so I had to go back to the British Embassy in the UK. And then I thought, I'm not done traveling, and ended up in New Zealand. And it was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah.
I think I met my partner there and learned a lot about, that's where I did my beekeeping apiculture certificates.
We're getting to that.
Yeah.
So did you take courses in beekeeping in New Zealand?
Yeah. So my journey into beekeeping was quite a interesting one. It actually started in one of our favourite pubs in Manuka, which is a small town in New Zealand.
That's the way to start beekeeping, folks. Start out in a pub.
With tequila.
With tequila.
And one of my friends, Luca, who's actually a phenomenal beekeeper in Byron Bay, he's trying to produce honey from native bees there, so solitary bees. He's kind of working with that, but he's a beekeeper in Byron Bay now, but at the time he was a beekeeper in New Zealand. And we were in the pub just before he left, and himself, my partner, and quite a few other people were drinking tequila, and we were talking about what I was up to, and I just got onto a environmental management diploma course in New Zealand. And he said, why don't you try beekeeping? Because it kind of goes with your new area of study. And a few shots of tequila later, I'd text the owner of the beekeeping company, and the next week I spent a day with the bees, and shortly after quit my job and ended up beekeeping for a few years.
That's good for you.
It was great.
Good for you. So since your beekeeping story starts in New Zealand, let's start there with some descriptions of what beekeeping was like for you. As a new person coming in that first day, what did you think?
I thought, wow, this is busy.
Busy, okay.
But I also, the people around me at the time, or the people that I'd met that were beekeepers, were very kind, calm and collected people. And so I think it gave an element of endearment to it. And so I wanted to see how you could be so calm and collected in such a busy space. And I think that was kind of, I was like, how does this work? These guys are just around them. And there was two guys, Byron and Justin, and they're both Islander boys from New Zealand. So Byron's from a Rarotonga background, and Justin's a Maori, like both over 6 foot. And they're sat there in their shorts and these like half suits, and there's like thousands of bees buzzing around them, and it's a beautiful day, and they're out in the bush. And I was like, gee whiz, that's the life.
That's a wonderful observation. And I've never heard anybody else put it so eloquently. That you noticed the busyness and the calmness.
Yeah, I think that's a real poignant piece of beekeeping. I'm reading a book at the moment about beekeeping and meditation. And
what is that book? Let's get a
I actually
shout out.
have, my partner found it in a charity shop and picked it up for me and said, you should read this, it looks kind of cool. And I've been reading it as I fall asleep at night, and it's beautiful.
So it's not good enough to keep you awake.
Well, it is, well, no, it's not. It's more of a like, I mean, as beekeepers, right, we think about bees quite often. You often fall asleep to the hum of a hive. I remember the first time that happened. I don't know if you guys remember the first time you went home and all you could hear was this.
Yeah.
But yeah, the book I'm reading is about that, and I think that it plays an integral part in people's development and their journeys through beekeeping. It makes you become a calmer person. I feel you can't be angry around the bees because they'll hurt you.
Right.
You can't. I mean, you could, but
then you get hurt.
Unless you want some like
you get
free
hurt.
Botox.
They get hurt. Everybody ends up on the downside.
You get frustrated. Well, when you're angry, you get frustrated, and out of the frustration, you might hurt some bees.
And your heart rate increases, so you're emitting more CO2, right? And bees are extremely, what's the word? Reactive to CO2.
Yep, they pick up on these things quite easily. I do want to know more about that book.
Yeah, I can tell you kind of a brief. So at the moment, the guy is, Oh gosh, mate, I'll try and send you maybe you can put a link to it.
I will. We'll put a link.
find a
No,
link.
seriously, that's something, and I'm very interested in that.
He's talking about, so a lot of it is, I mean, as you enter your 30s, you start to try and find different ways of processing your life.
Yes.
And I think meditation and yoga and slowing down becomes a very important part. You are always busy because you're in this part of your life where you're trying to pull all the bits that you've learned in your 20s together. And so it's really important to have moments of clarity and calm. And so that comes with a job like beekeeping. I feel like, or even as a hobby, it becomes part of that, which is you're extremely lucky if you can fit work and being like that together. But it also kind of plays into meditation, and when you're in a hive and everything is hustle and bustle around you, and the bees, like if we went into a hive the other day and they were queenless, and Bidzina's like, I think this hive's kind of angry, and we were like, and they like this really high vibration.
Yeah, they're not necessarily angry, but they are
Scattered.
More, like it's a concerned kind of a
Definitely,
sound.
it's quite a heavy hum.
When what I observe is the way that they are walking around the combs.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
Disoriented.
It's not disoriented, not in sync.
Yes, without purpose.
They're
the harmony is gone.
Exactly. There's this. They don't really seem to know what they're doing. More just like searching for something. But what I was gonna say is, I have crowds. A lot of people have issues with crowds, big crowds, and I've kind of overcome that fear. Not completely, but it's significantly progressed in it after beekeeping, by being amidst of all this bees and stuff.
Yeah, right.
Because sometimes you got a job to do, and bees are swarming you, and you are getting stung through your suit. and yes, it hurts, and you want to leave, but you gotta complete your job. You kind of
You're absolutely right.
Stop
You're
thinking
absolutely
about them, and then that you can translate that to life, because it's really them buzzing around is noise.
Yes.
And 90%, 95% of the things around you is just noise. If you can tune it out.
Definitely. Yeah. I agree with you.
And beekeeping has become something of a therapy method in a lot of ways. I was fortunate enough to teach several years in a row at the federal prison that's about an hour from Calgary, and the inmates, they develop a real strong fascination for the bees, and although it won't affect everybody the same, but there are always some people who will actually, their lives will be changed by being around the bees for a bit. And it just kind of gives them not only a sense of purpose. I mean, sometimes coming out of prison, you're not going to be hired very easily in a lot of situations. So you might want to run your own business.
Yeah.
Or you might want to work for a beekeeper, because most beekeepers are open-minded enough and need hardworking, interested people that they'll take somebody right out of prison without a second thought.
Yeah.
But that's become, that type of therapy has become more and more important. It's being used to rehabilitate soldiers who are suffering badly from
PTSD.
Yeah, I heard about that as well.
Yeah. So, do you meditate yourself?
I have tried countless times. I try and do yoga most mornings before I leave the house. Even if it's 10 minutes, just to stretch your body out.
Oh,
beekeeping can be
good.
quite hard.
Yes.
And I wouldn't say I meditate per se. I think, to be honest with you, when you're beekeeping, a lot of it is in a meditative state.
Yes.
You're kind of not focused on anything on the outside world, and I would say, so we've worked together, and when you're working with someone. So
since people are going to be listening to this,
Bidzina
and you have been working together for
a couple of months now. Hey?
Yes, with Herman.
With Herman, and Herman is
BeeCube.
Herman van Riekem, the founder of BeeCube. Yep.
Yep.
So you are both in his beekeeping staff.
We are.
Yes,
The
okay.
beekeeping squad.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
We are.
No, that's wonderful. What a wonderful way to learn.
For the summer for me, because I'm returning back in September to
Mm-hmm.
classes.
Yep. And then I'm kind of up in the air. I'm on a visa, and my partner's going to study at the University of Sydney next year. So we're figuring it out. Life is happening.
Yes.
But for this season, I met him by pure mistake, and so I was like, oh hey, I'll hang around for a wee bit. Life happens.
Life happens. So however it goes, you always want to just kind of make the best of the situation you're in.
Oh,
And
most definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hope things go really well there.
Okay.
Yes.
Right, but you were talking
Yeah,
about
sorry.
the meditative state
Yeah.
of working.
So I think like sometimes you can be in a hive with another person, and when we're around people, we interact quite a lot. You know, even when we're making a podcast, we talk and we have back and forths, whether it's a look or a stare or a glare or whatever it is. But when you're beekeeping, it's more of like a team effort. I feel quite often it's looking for reassurance in your decision regarding the best practice for that hive. And quite often you can almost read the other person before they open their mouth. And as you move through those stages, I feel that I've worked with other beekeepers, and the more that you work with one person one-on-one, the more it becomes like that. And I don't know if you call that a meditative state, but it is quite a quiet space amongst the noise to be able to have that connection with another individual. Whether it's a look or you kind of like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? And then you say it out loud when you're like 5 frames deep, and you kind of, yeah, it's great. It's a good way of being. I think it's good to, you alluding back to what you said about noise, like a lot of life is so much noise around you, but when you're beekeeping, there's a lot of actual, literal noise, but it's quite a quiet space. Does that make sense?
Yes, it absolutely does.
Exactly, and then you can kind of really, the noise might seem random, but with all the hives buzzing, it starts to kind of create this tune,
like a hum.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like to think of it as kind of a harmony that you can become part of.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can see the change in noise when the sun's shining, or
yes, and then the black clouds start to come in, and
say, leave me alone.
Yeah, I'd be grouchy too if somebody was opening my house on a rainy day.
Hey, I'm just gonna lift the roof of your house off and come in, and they're like, stay away.
So can you tell us a few things like your chores, your work, your projects that you're doing for BeeCube?
Yeah, of course. So I met him, and I asked to poke a nose in a hive in Canada, and I am kind of organising the day-to-day of looking after the bees. So we have Nazar, is a beekeeper from Ukraine, and he does all the queen rearing. He's absolutely wonderful at doing that job. I think it's almost what he was born to do. Not almost, it is what he was born to do. His mind is so involved with bees, with the queens, and then I kind of help him and make decisions about the week and where we're going, and mainly looking after the bees. And then we work with the University of Lethbridge, and they send up different sensors, and we're doing quite a lot of research into that. And so we kind of go out and fix and look after the bees.
So the BeeCube is there's 3 different models or variants of this BeeCube configuration. You got the queen rearing, brood factory, and then the honey production, and they're all kind of configured into different boxes, but you can fit 20 to 25 colonies inside one of these BeeCubes, and they're all in 5-frame boxes, 5-frame nukes, so they go up and down, and so it's a completely new. It's not a new design in terms of people have done 5-frame boxes, but this is we're working with 5-frame complete hives, and that's how we run the operation.
It's quite different, hey.
It is quite different, yeah, and so the boxes are completely made in house, and we're just figuring it out,
Right.
Yeah.
working out the kinks pretty much.
Right. So when you say the hives are 5 frame, they're actually, if they're stacked 4 high, they would be 20 frame colonies.
But we're working with the equivalent of a Langstroth, so a single brood chamber with 2, because if you stack them too high, the beekeepers can't accommodate that on one side. And these are all things that we're kind of figuring out at the moment. This is the second year of, I believe it's the second year of figuring things out.
Yeah.
And so we are looking at how they adapt to smaller spaces, and how the queen adapts, and the different wants and needs of each beekeeper. Even the location, like we've had some locations that are really great with just the double brood chamber, and then there's a couple of other locations where I have a triple brood chamber, and so you kind of figure that out as you go. And then the queen rearing is just that's Nazar's whole thing. I think that's more of a he's that beekeeper is a law unto itself. It's really interesting what he's done.
So that's the kind of the honey variant, and then the brood variant is the 5 frame boxes, but the queen rearing one is a different configuration, and the frames are horizontal instead of vertical.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's 2 entrances that go into it.
So is the grafting done and the grafted cells put directly into the finishing hive?
I actually have no idea about what they do. It's kind of because it's a research project, it's very much for them themselves.
Yeah.
I think, they kind of do everything inside that BeeCube, and then once it's like either they don't mate them there. They come out
No,
versions.
they come out, yeah.
Right.
And then they
We distribute them
Right,
everywhere,
because
and then
you'd
they go back.
typically be producing 40, 60 cells in the same box, so they would have to come out and be put into nukes for mating.
Yeah.
But rather than speaking about the mechanics of how the BeeCube is being designed to rear queens, let's talk a little bit about the stock that you're looking for. And is there some advantage in producing a stock that's going to be more comfortable living in a BeeCube as opposed to...
I think that is part of the development of this. So our queen rearer is
Nazar,
working,
did you say?
Yeah,
Nazar?
yeah. He's working towards building a kind of bespoke in-house breed, if you like, and that takes time. And yes, like hundreds of years. We were talking about the perfection of the Langstroth the other day, weren't we? And it's like over 150 years to just develop that side of beekeeping. So to develop
Well, I want to jump in on that one because I saw a photograph of a frame from a 1905, Gleanings, whatever, bee culture, American bee culture. I don't remember the magazine, but the frame in dimensions, style, size, it was identical to what we're using today.
Really?
Yes. So what I think has happened is Lorenzo Langstroth came across a pretty brilliant idea back in the 1860s. And since then, it was adapted by so many beekeepers that it becomes really difficult to move away. And, like you've got all of your equipment, all the same size. Now, are you going to experiment with something different? It's going to cost you money. It's going to break your season. You're going to lose a year's crop, maybe. So we keep inheriting what our great grandparents used as beekeeping equipment.
Definitely. I think the beekeeper is changing.
That's true.
The aim of the game is to change the way we beekeep. And North America is a new land in beekeeping to me, but I have lived through a winter here. I very much enjoyed it, but I cannot imagine being a bee in the winter here.
Right.
What a harsh
right,
life they
right.
must
No,
live.
they wouldn't naturally survive here.
No.
Our annual temperature is just too cold.
I mean, I think the honeybee is introduced into a lot of different places across the world, and it's now so far from its original genes.
You're absolutely right.
You would be surprised. You would be surprised. I've overwintered hives without any insulation, just in the boxes, and they've survived, but very weak.
Very weak,
But still survived.
And not
That's
all
great.
of them will survive.
No,
No, in fact,
it was more of a 50%, well, less 55% death
Mm-hmm.
rate. Yeah, so
Precision.
11 out of them made it out of 21.
That's still really good.
and that was
Yeah.
here in Alberta,
Foremost Alberta.
and they weren't wrapped.
No.
But
So
see, now-
I was told they were wrapped, but I mean, we discussed
that's
this.
so cruel.
This was in episode 1.
Hey, it's only the strongest that survive.
Oh yeah, or the
From that
luckiest,
original
or the
crop,
luckiest.
there's still 2 left.
Okay.
That's been-
Really?
Yeah.
That's
that
so good.
I've been kind of just introducing a new queen.
Do you wrap
honor.
them now?
Yep, yep,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Give them an extra blanket this winter to say
I
sorry.
sure hope
Yeah,
so.
I give them 2-inch styrofoam and then insulated.
Good.
I saw some clips of people like putting electronic blankets around them, and I was like, "Are you? What about fire risk and stuff like that?" Like,
I don't think we'd be too concerned about starting a fire.
Like, you mean a cozy blanket?
yeah, like a cozy, you know, like something you have at home. And then,
I don't know if it was electronic. It could have
Okay.
just been, but I've seen people do that with honey boxes. to
Yeah.
warm them up.
well, I saw someone on YouTube. North Americans love YouTube. We discovered that quite early in our introduction.
Yeah.
But Tina's like, "Have you seen this on YouTube?" And I'm like, I don't watch YouTube. And then I started to feel like I should watch YouTube.
No,
because
don't.
Herman and-
I don't watch YouTube
Herman
either. But if you are
Bettina
going to
love
watch
YouTube.
YouTube, be sure to watch the About Bees, Culture, and Curiosity.
Yeah, I
episodes.
started beekeeping because of YouTube.
You did.
Yeah,
I love
because
that.
of Ian Stepler out
Okay.
of Manitoba.
I'll send him a nasty note. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'm the king bee.
He has about 1,500 hives or something like that.
Yes, he does. He's
Nice.
a very, very good beekeeper.
Amazing.
So your
Okay,
your
sorry,
projects then, I think we will kind of let that
Yeah.
go at this point because I don't want you to start talking about secret information that you're experimenting with and how to do things. that-
Definitely.
why
I think
I
it'll
was-
all come to. Sorry.
Go
Oh
ahead.
no, I was just like why I was bringing up the mechanics is because we're kind of a lot of our day to day involves going around the bee cubes and checking if the bees are liking the space or not,
Yeah.
and then with that doing the traditional beekeeping of killing the queen, like getting rid of the queen
Right.
cells, make sure they're not swarming, make sure that
Yeah. Yeah.
make sure that they're collecting honey and that it's a healthy looking brood. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of. Yeah.
Well, I think there is some history behind the system, not as sophisticated as what Herman is doing with the BeeCube, but this time next week, we're recording this on a Tuesday afternoon here in Calgary, and this time next week, I'm going to be in Slovenia, and I'm hoping to be able to see some of those natural systems, the systems that have been in use in that part of Europe for a few hundred years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're very similar to a BeeCube, but there are some very fundamental differences too.
Yeah, definitely. I think the development of AI/technology and beekeeping as an industry in agriculture is kind of on the cusp of making leaps and bounds. I know there are a couple of companies out there that have done it, and I think that it's becoming more of a globalized conversation around pollination. Seems to be the pivotal point for
That's
all
the
of that.
driver. That's the driver. Yes.
We have to feed everyone, and I think that we underestimate the value of feeding the world with good, sustainably produced food, and that's what honeybees have to do. And my partner's mum actually alluded to this. She's a badass woman, but she said to me that don't exploit the honeybee too much in North America because we can feed the world from other places. And she kind of said maybe they're not supposed to be there. And I think that we have this notion of globalization and the development of AI and stuff. And so we always want everything to be everywhere all the time. And so if we can successfully overwinter bees here in North America, if that can be done properly in a sustainable manner using like solar and not kind of drilling into more unsustainable energy sources and so forth, then by all means we should be doing that. And I think the development of tech enables that. But there's a real fine line of like developing something so far.
Well,
You know?
You know what
Does that
was
make sense?
not to kind of whataboutism to do it, but what was also brought here, horses. I mean, they were not.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
originated from here, but they went extinct for a while, and they were reintroduced by Europeans.
But we've managed to like house horses, and you know, we keep them quite warm and they survive over winter because they're not as fragile, I would say, as the honeybee. You know?
Yeah, but they would, you know, if you leave a horse out on a field in winter, I mean, there's wild wild packs and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That is a good debate.
Yeah. Just like on,
Should
on
they
the touch
should
of
they
the
be here or not?
I think that if
Should
you
the
if
bee
you
be
looked at the
here?
world moving forward as a global entity, like if we not that will ever happen, but in the great grand scheme of things, if we became this global entity that shared everything, which is so far from it, then you wouldn't have honeybees in North America because you would. I'm not sure what you'd have else. You might have small
Right.
localized honeybees, but you wouldn't. We were having this conversation about sustainably keeping bees in North America, but at the moment there's a huge carbon footprint that comes into North America. Not huge, but it's huge for such a small thing, of honeybees being immigrated over from New Zealand, and they bring them over. We used to harvest the honeybees in
Right.
New Zealand when I was there, there was a couple of guys that I worked with that found it very sad. They didn't like doing that at all. And we'd package
To
them
be
up,
shaking packages and
to
sending
be
them.
shaking bees out of their hive
Mhm.
and sending them and putting them to a quick hibernation, and then they're flown across the world.
Hmm.
And then they're plunked in a hive in
Yes.
North America.
Well,
And-
of course, the honeybee's not native to New Zealand either.
no, definitely not. But
Yeah.
the climate there is much easier on them than the climate here, and so they're more adaptive there. I think we try and put everything everywhere because we want everyone to adapt and everything to adapt, and it doesn't. I mean, there's like Herman van Riekemann and the BeeKeeper doing some amazing research, and as lots of other people from conversations that I've had and heard, but it's like overwintering them is saying that we have to work to get them to stay here. We have to work quite a lot harder than what we. Not harder. I wouldn't say that's
I don't
the
know.
right word.
My beehives, I'll check them up in January during a Chinook, and I got, 2 brood boxes. I don't go in the bottom lower brood box, but I got 10 frames of bees, and they're not clustering, which people we've kind of talked about this. It's clustering is actually not. You don't want them to be clustering.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of want them to be just, But yeah, I'll have 10 frames of bees in January.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's really great.
But that's with the 2-inch styrofoam and insulated tarp.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, but
But couldn't we say the same thing about humans?
You could definitely.
Where should humans be if we're all out of Africa and then we're trying to live somewhere that's super cold?
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's why I think like research. I mean, I'm not an expert on this at all, and it was just a conversation that we had the other day, but it kind of made me think a bit, I guess, of she's a very good woman at prodding and making other people think more.
Yes.
And she alluded to the carbon footprint. I mean, I have a huge carbon footprint because I've traveled across the world, and my dad definitely likes to point that out to me. But the honeybee was brought here, and we're working really hard. And maybe this is a time where this is the time in history where North America is the place that says we're working really hard and we're going to make sure the honeybee can survive here. And in 20 years' time, they'll say, "Do you remember in 2026 or 2025 when the honeybee finally made it across winters and there was like an exponential amount of honeybees that survived, and and climate change is happening, right? So maybe
Right. Climate change is going to make a big difference in the natural distribution of feral colonies of bees.
Definitely.
They're going to be surviving much further north.
Yeah,
Just
I
in
agree
the
with you.
years that I've lived here, about 30, 40 years in the Calgary area, I have seen Calgary go from an area where the annual ambient temperature is below the norm for honeybees around the world to survive. And that temperature is 3.6 degrees Celsius. So if you were to make a map and draw lines, like isotherms, everywhere on the map where the 3.6 degrees Celsius occurs, when you go into any part of that map where it's colder than 3.6, there are no feral colonies. There just aren't any, because the bees in their feral state looking for some artificial or tree or under a rock or wherever the honeybees are trying to survive are not going to be able to survive temperatures, consistently reproduce and stay in an area. And
we need our help, right?
And that's changed now.
Yep.
So now our temperature here is a little over 5 degrees Celsius, and the bees can survive.
Yep.
In the wild state as feral colonies right here.
Do you see a lot of feral colonies? I've only been here for a few months, so have you ever...
I've seen pictures. I haven't personally seen any.
Yeah.
So
I think we way back in a couple episodes we discussed it, and there's a 20% success rate.
Of feral colonies?
No, not here.
Not here.
In the state of New York, near Cornell University.
Right, but which is different, I guess, kind of similar to Ontario's climate.
Yes, very similar, although it's even warmer in that part of New York than Ontario would be.
Okay.
But
getting close to us.
East.
Yes, very east. Yeah. So maybe there would be a 5% rate here.
Well, right now, there might be, but a few years ago it was a 0%.
Right.
Yeah. So that isotherm is changing. It's moving. The globe is getting a bit warmer, and the distribution of bees in its wild state, honeybees in a wild state, is going to be occurring here in Alberta too.
Which makes sense as to why there's so many people doing research on them here, right?
Yeah.
There's a big. I feel like even the people from meeting yourself, Bettina, and Herman and Bill, and even now meeting yourself, Ron, there's a much like a big conversation regarding.
I have a question for you.
and
I see you as a person who has a very open mind, partly because your experience in beekeeping stretches back a few years and not 30 or 40 years.
Yeah.
And there's some advantages to that. And I also sense already that I would consider you to be something of a deep thinker, like you want to know and understand and kind of question things. So here's my thought to you. What would you think if all the beekeepers in this far north area, and that would include Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, if we all removed all the bees out of our hives every fall when production is finished, took them all out, put them in cages, and sent them down to Argentina, to Brazil, to somewhere where it's spring in our fall. And then we could put all of our equipment in storage. We would never have to treat for varroa mite, because the varroa wouldn't have a long enough period to do any harm as long as they started with zero varroa mite in the beginning. And that's possible because with caged bees with no combs, we could actually eliminate all of the mites before we put the bees into our boxes in the spring, let the bees produce their honey crop, not have to feed any artificial food to the bees, not have to treat for the varroa mites, and our equipment could be safely stored indoors all winter and not be sitting out in the snow and the rain, and then bring packages back the next year.
Would you like it if you were a bee? How would you feel?
Well, I might like it better than knowing that 50 or 60% of all colonies are going to die over winter.
I think that I don't know my direct answer to that
question. And everybody likes a good warm vacation in the middle of the winter. So yes, I would like it as a bee. I would like it as a bee.
But I think that as we move through this conversation, just alluding back to the part of the conversation we just had, where we're talking about research and climate change, that if everyone just sent their bees south, then there would be no one doing research to try and prolong things. So there'd be no change. there would be a change in the fact that
Oh,
you're
there would
sending
still be some oddballs with a few colonies of bees trying to
they'd
make
be
them through
saying-
winter.
Yeah.
But I'm talking big commercial beekeepers.
Big commercial beekeepers.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's quite harsh on the bees. Do you see a lot of movement? So you see bees being worked really hard moving around. I don't know.
Well, I've shaken thousands of packages in Florida and brought them up here
Yeah.
to Canada. Year after year for like 10, 12 years in a row.
Yeah.
Every year I'd raise my own queens and bring up my own packages.
By a
and
package,
install them.
what do you mean by
It's a
that? Sorry.
cage. It's a cage that holds 7,000 bees, about 2 pounds or 1 kilo, and a queen.
Yeah.
And there's no comb at all. So
Just bees in a
just
bees in a bag.
bees in a box, a
Yeah.
screened in box
Package.
package.
This is you showed me this. Is that right?
We see them at Herman's, but yeah, it's pretty much a box with bees.
Yes, these days people in Alberta are getting them in mostly from New Zealand.
Yeah.
But years ago, I was able to bring them up from a honey farm I owned in Florida.
Okay.
And I would bring them to Saskatchewan where I had a commercial farm. I never killed my bees in the fall in Saskatchewan because I was young and I was trying to build up the numbers and have more and more bees every year. But I saw so many die over winter. In those days, it would be 10 or 20% of the colonies. You go in the spring, the bees would be dead. They'd be moldy, they'd be wet, they'd be damp. The equipment would be, sometimes you have
Yeah.
to throw the equipment away.
Definitely.
And there were other beekeepers for years before I came along to do this who made a business of bringing up packages every spring, putting the packages in the colonies, letting them produce in those days an average of 200 pounds from each colony, extract all the honey out, don't leave anything for wintering because you're not going to winter the bees, and then they would dramatically kill all the bees in the fall. It's an instant death for the bees. It's not pretty, but I think it's a better way of ending an insect's life than for them to die and get moldy.
But they keep bees in Siberia,
Yeah.
and that's even harsher winter than us and then Alberta. And I think it's not really the temperature that's the issue. It's the
Okay, two things. One is I don't think the temperatures in Siberia are more harsh than they are in the plains in Canada. I think we have them beat in the length of time and the
right.
cold
It's
temperatures.
the length that
went
is
on
kind of
cold
killed.
And the second one is bees didn't normally occur in Siberia until
Right.
beekeepers started bringing them in from like the Ukraine or from Western Russia, and then they hauled them to the east.
Right. And that's caused a bunch of issues with spread of. I'm pretty sure that's caused the spread of varroa mite and trophy mite.
Not trophy mite.
Well,
no,
yeah,
but
because you remember
varroa.
we were seeing that they brought it. Well, it didn't same, but it was found in East Georgia,
Yeah.
or close to the border of South Russia.
Right.
Okay.
Trophy mite. It's has been discovered close to Europe.
Yeah. Right.
And we're thinking it was
Beekeepers who
From
brought their bees from
east.
further
Yeah.
east. Yes.
Yeah, but so that causes a lot of issues. But
But that wasn't Siberia, though.
Yeah, but I'm just just them migrating bees. It's not a good thing, but I don't know if bees really care about harsh winters.
I
No.
mean, I think they're quite an adaptive species, right?
They
We put
certainly
them
are,
through
yes.
so much. We, as humans, became the dominant species of the planet, and we have evolved and changed. And
I think bacteria would want to disagree with you on that last statement, but
we've forced so many animals to do what we want them to do.
oh, certainly we have. Yes.
And so we've done. That's what we're doing. That's what people have done with the honeybee. I don't know, alluding to your question, how I would feel. I think I'd feel very sad every time I sent my bees away. I probably would have an element of guilt towards killing them. But I
don't know.
I don't
you
know
might.
if
You
you-
might. I don't know that I would. I think I would see them having a second life.
I think there is a second life, but also from my understanding in North America, queens only get to live for like a year. And then in general, they kind of get replaced more frequently, from my understanding of hearsay, than they would have in New Zealand. So in New Zealand, it's like 2 to 3 years, whereas here it sounds like 1 to 2 years. And
Yeah, usually it's 2 years on the commercial operations. That every second year they try to requeen every colony. But the queens would survive longer than 2 years. But you're absolutely right in that the life, the productive part of the lifespan of a queen bee has reduced quite a bit.
Yeah.
At one time, we thought it would be, 4 or 5 years. Queen's going to live for 4 or 5 years. I remember teaching people that years and years ago.
But they can survive for that long. It's the reason that they don't survive is economical loss, right? A beekeeper wants a strong, healthy queen.
Yes
to
and
produce
no.
lots of.
Yes and no. Laura, I think a big part of the problem is something that we don't fully understand yet, and it could be that we have been breeding queens that are coming from colonies that have other tendencies, like to be more productive in producing honey and so on.
Yeah.
And they might then have a higher energy level and burn out more quickly. That's
definitely.
speculation. And also, we don't know how much of a role chemicals have played in the lifespan of the queens.
Of the queen. Yeah. They I think that we've bred queens so many different. We had a queen breeder called Kim, who's a phenomenal queen breeder. He's a grumpy git at best of times, but plays incredible music and enjoys great beer. But he's also a phenomenal queen rearer, and he bred a beautiful blonde lady, and she has high honey production in New Zealand. She's a hybrid of Italians and a Carniolan hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know the exact percentages, but he has
A Carniolan or Cordova?
a Carniolan,
Okay.
Carniolan bred with an Italian, and his hybrid, I don't even know what he calls them, but he's bred a queen, and they'll survive like 2 to 3 years in New Zealand. But then here, I'm still learning about the North American beekeeping, and so
I am too.
and you've
Yes,
been
I
doing it.
am. I am still learning about this stuff.
But people want different things, right?
Yeah, you generally want a strong queen going into winter, since it'll be a harsh winter. But yeah,
Because there's a whole research program in North America at the moment as well regarding overwintering queens, right? You're trying to make a hearty, strong queen that can survive over winter, and queen banking and so forth is all coming into play. And so I think even that in the development of beekeeping in North America, and we're talking about climate changes and buying bees and but really the queen, who debatably is the ruler of the hive, has to survive in order to produce a viable colony for the next year. And so it depends what you want from your queen. Do you want, it used to be dictated, if you get into it, but it used to be dictated by the bees themselves, the workers going out, and they're finding what's out there. Do we need nectar? And they go home and they tell the colony or the household, or however you want to look at it, that this is what's going on outside, and then that is then regurgitated or communicated back to the queen, and then the queen decides what to do. But nowadays it's more the beekeeper that kind of but will create like a hybrid queen to do what they want her to do. And
right, and we've domesticated the honeybee.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
We're trying. I think people are trying.
I think
to
people have been
domesticate.
trying for over 100 years.
Have you seen that kid with the beehive in his room?
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool.
I don't know.
He's gone viral.
Is this YouTube? You're watching
No,
YouTube
it's not
now,
YouTube.
aren't you,
My
Laura?
partner found it on the World Wide Web, and he's like, "Look at this! We can make this."
Well,
And
I'm like, gosh darn it, he beat me to it. But he
I don't know.
Well,
It's
tell
not
us-
as cool
tell
as
us
some
about
of your
it.
projects.
Tell us
But
about it.
he
Projects are cool.
3D printed a hexagonal shape, which you can probably, it looks like an observation hive, and you
But
can
it's
fit
huge, hey?
two frames, and it's like 2 frames, and he's put them. So he's got 4 frames of bees, and then they got a tube going out to his window,
Yeah.
And I don't know if he has a hive down there.
I think it's like the top of the hexagon is honey, and then the bottom is a brood chamber, right?
But he's done an update, and he's attached a flow hive to it, 2-frame flow hive.
No way.
So he's gonna have like 2 frames of honey.
I mean,
to
that's
pull
pretty
out.
cool.
That's fine for
engineering
him,
a kid.
but he can do it from his room, and but I don't know. It's I don't know if you're gonna convince people to have bees in their house.
But people have done it for insulation previously, right? You
Oh,
see like
yes,
some
absolutely.
like
But
outfits that do that.
Observation hives are not that uncommon.
But he has an actual like he's trying to make it operational
But there are
in
like
his room.
I see what you mean.
People
Like he's
use
trying to
them for
produce a honey
insulation,
crop
Yeah,
so he can pay rent to his parents.
exactly.
you just roll over in the middle of the night and get some sweet
Yeah.
nectar from
Yeah. I guess that's one way of getting sweet nectar in the middle of the night. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, you could make it like attach a nipple to it, and then,
Oh, come on.
like
Okay.
See, I have to censor
Adina's
that part
daydreaming
out
here.
now, huh?
We can tell
yeah.
well, no, I'm saying
Yeah.
like
he's
a
the bachelor in the
He's
room.
the bachelor. in
No,
the
I,
room.
like a
Definitely.
baby nipple thing.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
don't know what
Sure.
you're
I'm
into.
sure that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't worry about it. I'm going to take that whole
But
chunk
Tina's
out of the
single.
podcast.
Sweet baby.
You don't want to
nipples.
add the viral kid.
Yeah, at the viral.
He's
kid.
13.
Yeah, he's extremely. It's cool. It's gone by like millions of views.
Okay.
But
Can you
people-
send me a link for that? And I'll put that in the show notes too.
I could, yeah.
Yeah.
People are using bees for insulation, right? Have you guys
Yeah.
seen that? So they have a beehive in their wall,
Hmm.
and it conducts so much heat. Yeah, have you guys seen that? No.
Well,
And it's kind of like
No,
I've
I
only
have
seen
not.
it done on
I have
one
not
wall,
seen that.
and they have a beehive like in the actual wall of the house,
Uh-huh.
and because obviously a beehive conducts so much heat, and so it's like an observation hive, but it's part of.
Yeah.
It's not as it's never gone. I've kind of seen it on YouTube and been like, what is this?
you
But-
need
know,
a
that's
lot
a-
of them.
That's a different take.
make-
Yeah, you need a lot of them. That's a different take. I know that back in Europe, especially in the central part of Europe, and I guess in north, probably even in Wales, it wasn't uncommon at one
Yeah,
time
UK,
for people to
it's-
bring all their animals in on a cold day into the house.
That's very France. That's a French thing. I've
It's
only
a
ever
French
seen-
thing, not a
Wow.
Welsh thing. No, the Welsh
I think
people
we
would
bring,
never be that.
No, they bring their cows in.
They bring their cows
yeah,
in.
they bring the
Okay,
cows
good
in.
for them. I like
They
cows.
bring the sheep. Yeah, I love. I was dairy farming for 5 years.
You were.
I was a dairy farmer.
You know what? You're not 31 anymore. We're going to add up all these years that you have spent doing all these different things, and
Tell you,
it's
I've
going
worked
to
in
be
agriculture since
since you were 19.
No, since I was 23, I think.
Okay.
I worked in agriculture since then because beekeeping is part of agriculture, right?
I don't
So
know. Is it?
Definitely is.
Okay.
Animals.
Animal husbandry.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know why it's called husbandry.
But I did want to come back to
So the bees have
being
husbands.
contrary here and,
Yeah, of course.
and a bit mean. I don't think of honeybees as being domesticated.
What do you think of
Mine
them?
mine are domesticated. I can.
Can you allude to why you don't think that they're domesticated?
For one thing, is we don't control where they're going to sleep. They can certainly leave. They can swarm. They can go somewhere else, and they can't really be taught. We can, like sheep. You send the dog out, he brings in the sheep.
But a sheep can still jump over a fence if it really wanted to. The sheep could jump over the fence.
Yeah, but we've kind of bred that out of most sheep. Like they don't want to so much.
I disagree with you. I think that it's because we provide them with pasture. We give them a life that they. The same
Or-
with the honeybee. We provide them with comb. We feed them over winter. We
Yeah.
give
The
them
fences
places-
did get
Certainly
taller as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
Yeah.
a honeybee, if it leaves, if they swarm, their rate of survival will drop dramatically compared to if they stay in.
It depends on where you are.
It depends on
Yeah.
where you are, but
Yeah.
it's the same as a cow. Like if a cow jumped over a fence and really wanted to go and live in the bush, a cow could probably survive in the bush for a wee while, but it doesn't want to because Farmer Joe provides it with great pasture. I mean, sometimes there's a few cheeky heifers that run away, but
Okay.
they're young.
But the honeybee doesn't go through that process of thinking, I think I'm going to come home because it's safe, secure, it's nice and
No,
tidy.
But they're always
I
at
see
home.
them as wild. I think they're not domesticated in any kind of sense. We learn to provide what we think will keep them at home.
Yeah.
and maintain them for our exploitation. But as far as them not being wild, I still see them as being very wild. And I also see it very difficult to change, like all kinds of breeding schemes for queens have been going on for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And people still produce a lot of queens for resale, and they try to maintain more or less a stock or a line. But as soon as that talented beekeeper or their close staff are no longer involved, everything reverts back to a more primitive nature of those bees. It's very rare to find any stock that was very popular 100 years ago still available today, because the people who were maintaining that stock, as soon as they lose interest or the business changes hands, that stock tends to disappear. That happened with we had a brilliant beekeeper in Saskatchewan almost 60 or 80 years ago in Birch Hill, Saskatchewan, that they had a reputation for a queen that could survive winter really, really well.
Yep.
And when people start to get old and the business starts to go to somebody else, it's not being maintained the same way anymore. And that tells me, because the queen will mate with so many different drones,
Yep.
and those drones can be coming into a congregation area from kilometers away from lots of different types of bees, it's just so difficult to maintain any kind of a standard over a long period of time.
So you're talking about people losing interest and the business falls apart when people...
That often happens, yes.
Yeah. And so, but if you were a dairy farmer
Mm-hmm.
and suddenly Farmer Joe doesn't want to farm anymore
Mm-hmm.
and his workers lose interest, cows don't have anyone to maintain the fences or feed them. And so
the cows get sold and they go somewhere else.
But if everyone leaves,
Mm-hmm.
but a beehive could get sold. A beehive could go and be looked after by someone else. And so,
But not the stock line. So with cattle, you know the parentage, you know who the bull.
But that's all recorded information,
was.
right? The bulls
Yes.
are all recorded information.
Mhm,
And so if the beekeeper recorded information
About the drones.
about which hives the drones, or like which hives in the area had lots of drones, or recorded information
That's the problem.
about...
We can't get that unless we're on an isolated island with our breeding program. There was a guy who was in Lake Erie in Pelee Island.
You spoke about this, hey? The guy in...
No, go. I haven't heard of this. Go ahead, sorry.
On Pelee Island, which is an island in Lake Erie, and actually it's the furthest southern point in all of Canada. They had a closed system where they could breed queens without...
I have heard of this.
So you've heard of this?
Yeah, I've heard. I thought it was you. Maybe it was Herman.
I was talking about Newfoundland with their strict program, but
There's the
I
island
haven't.
where they tried to do the research into. Carry on.
Yes. So anyhow, and unless you have a system like that, you can't really be sure of the drone parentage of your queens and their offspring. Of course, there's artificial insemination, but we still haven't perfected artificial insemination to the point that it could be used in commercial queens in, 1,000 colony bee operation.
Yeah.
That's just so rare. Now, we can use it to maintain a stock and crossbreed and backbreed and try to keep a certain line going. But as soon as we get to the point where we're grafting ourselves from this very clean, perfect, something we know everything about the ancestry of that little grub that we are transferring into the cell and then creating a queen. And why I say that little grub is because it's from an egg that came from an artificially inseminated queen. So we know where that queen is going to be coming from. She'll develop, she'll fly out and mate with anybody in the neighborhood. So that's where we lose it. And it's so difficult to maintain that for a long period of time.
I agree. I think that the progression of beekeeping, as we I mean, this kind of alludes to like record keeping and stuff, right? Like there's an element of that, and
a big element,
a huge element of that. And I think that this does allude to a part of a conversation that I wanted to try and bring up with you guys, which is the demographic of people that are in beekeeping. So if you do just hit into Google the general demographic of people that are beekeeping, it's males over 50. And so you have this reluctancy, and I've seen it in other industries, of change and of record keeping online and having it's the same with our health records and so forth. There's this globalization of information. And so people like to have their information for them, which is like, I have a really great queen and she does X, Y, Z, but she's my queen. And these are my hives. And instead of like...
I certainly don't disagree with your suggestion that men over the age of 50
but
tend to be troglodytes or dinosaurs, maybe.
No, but what I'm trying to get at is like in dairy farming. For example,
I want to see you dig yourself out of this one.
I am going to dig myself out of it, because you have record keeping and stuff more and more so with the advancements of artificial insemination and stuff. So you have these like backdated records of where all the semen comes from and who is impregnated who and all these bloodlines that we're talking about. But there's a lot of younger people, I guess, that have researched and done that in dairy farming and came up with all these strategies and methods, and now you have huge technological advancements in that industry. I'm comparing it to that industry because that's an industry that I've worked in.
Sure.
And you have a lot of young people that are actually still dairy farming and are still part of that, and they're not necessarily from family descent. One of my really good friends, Jamie, is the exact same age as me by 6 months, and she is a young dairy farmer, and she's an incredible dairy farmer that has adapted to all these technological changes, and she's a female. And in the beekeeping industry, it's not as prominent to have young people that are adaptive and that you're an anomaly.
There is a bit of a resistance to
change.
Well, not change, but just impracticality in beekeeping.
Yeah.
Because technology, like, it seems like, we don't. I don't want to say it's been perfected, but the Langstroth, we don't want to reinvent the wheel kind of scenario. It's like there's not, and every time a new technological thing comes out to assist a beekeeper, it feels like a gimmick.
Definitely.
And so there's not much money in innovating.
And people don't want to put like a QR code, for example, on their hive and zap the QR code and put information in on the big World Wide Web. I think a lot of beekeepers, from my experience, kind of keep their information close to their heart, and it's an industry that I daren't say it disencourages young people to get into it, but it's young people you need for an industry that needs to survive for the sustainable production of food on a global scale. You have to make space for young people. You have to make it a warm and inviting place. Yeah, and you have to show technology.
Like, there is no apprenticeship like beekeeping. There is Nate in Edmonton does some sort of beekeeping course, but the beekeeping courses that you can take here, they're 2 days, and they're just pretty much to get a license to start beekeeping,
which is wild.
And there's a stat, 80%.
The one I teach, in order for people to get a license to be a Calgary beekeeper, is a 1-day course.
Wild.
And I focus on the dangers, the problems, the diseases, and I try to scare people away from becoming a beekeeper unless they really want to be a beekeeper.
Yeah.
Because way too many people think, it's going to be so much fun, it's going to be so easy, the bees do all the work, and it's going to I'm going to be helping the environment, and all of those things being wrong.
A lot of
so instead, then we have a different system. When I was in my early 20s, I worked for 7 different commercial beekeepers. Sometimes only a week or 2, sometimes for months. Because the more people I worked for, the more different points of view I could see, and the more systems that I could analyze and decide, do I want to do it this way? Is this a good program? Is this something? And I have an older brother. He set up a queen breeding business in Florida, and his family now produces about 200,000 queen cells a year.
Wow, that's
and
incredible.
16,000 queens. And it's all family. They don't hire anybody. It's all family. Yeah. It's family business. About 7 or 8 people all together working on it. And he worked for 10 different beekeepers when he was first starting out.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the apprentice system. That's what you have to do. And if you're reluctant to go to work for somebody for free or for minimum wage, then you don't have the heart and the desire to be your own boss and become a beekeeper eventually. That's my old over 50 male point of view.
But 80% of first-time beekeepers will give up beekeeping within 3 years.
Really?
And they should.
Well, just kind of just how
they should.
natural
They
should.
laws
I
of
want all
things,
the honey.
that usually happen.
Yeah, because they didn't take my course. They didn't realize how heavy, how sticky, how
Specifically your
dirty,
course.
how difficult, and how little money is going to be coming out of it. They come in very naive.
Yeah.
Those 80% who quit, and sometimes it's certainly not anything of their problem. It's situations in life. You get your bees in your backyard, and you get a promotion to move to a different city.
Yeah.
Or your neighbor becomes highly allergic, or at least highly paranoid of the bees, and you have to get rid of them.
Yeah.
So often those 80% include people who would have continued to keep bees if circumstances had been different. But I would guess that at least half of those new beekeepers who quit in the first 3 years are people who become discouraged. They can't keep the bees alive.
Yep.
They keep dying.
Definitely.
They keep dying, or they cost so much money.
That's a big problem.
We're
here,
paying
hey?
people in New Zealand a fortune to restock our bees every year.
It's hard work, I'll tell you. It's hard. It's not an easy task collecting bees.
I produced a lot of packages. I
Yeah.
know it's
Yeah.
very, very hard.
They're
Very
not
hard
happy.
work.
Like they do not want to go in. They almost know. They're like, "You coming to get me? You got
How
my
do they?
cousin
How do
the
they
other week."
describe to me how they do it in New Zealand?
We would smoke a hive at
Yes.
the bottom, so most of the bees go up to the top.
Is
because
there
the
an
smoke's
excluder
coming
in
from
there
bottom.
between the
Yeah,
brood
of
chamber
course.
and the top? Yes.
And then you have a honey box. Sometimes we put a honey box on top the week before, and then you go the following week. So the bees have moved upstairs once
Right.
you smoke them, and then all the workers come up,
Mhm.
and then you take the lid off, and you either shake the box. So we have a stand
Mhm.
over a bucket that was engineered by Justin, which was one of our
Mhm.
workers, and he kind of. We called it like the Justin B2000, like R2,
Okay.
like R2D2 thing. Anyway,
Yes,
so
yes.
he made this whole device that
Mhm.
was heavily taped.
J2D2.
JDT2,
Okay.
D2, whatever. Anyway, he made this device, and it became like this holy grail of collecting bees for us, for the company that I used to work for. And so we kind of put a stand in a box with a load of mesh around it, and we'd take the bees and we'd shake it, and then we'd lightly spray them so that they stuck. And then we had these makeshift not hibernation, they were kind of portable hives, if you like, with mesh on the boxes. And then inside we had a couple of frames of honey, we had pheromone strips, and sometimes we'd put a little bit of protein or to make sure that they had food. And then obviously the pheromone kind of tricks them into thinking there's a queen there. And so we'd then shake them all into there, and we would weigh them because each one has to weigh X amount of kilos. And then they got shipped off. So we'd go around like our stronger sites after harvest, and we'd shake bees out.
I did a very similar system myself after the orange flow in Florida, and take the honey supers off, put them back
orange
on.
flow.
Yeah, the
That would have
citrus.
been delicious.
Yeah, it's very nice honey. And then the bees come up in those supers, as you say, and you have an excluder in place. You do a little bit of smoking in the bottom, make sure more bees come up. But the downside to that is you're getting old field worker bees.
Oh, definitely.
And the people that I really admired, I was up in Georgia and Alabama watching some of the people produce packages, And they actually sent a crew out that found the queen in every colony and caged her and set her on top of the colony. And when she's been found and she's sitting on top of the colony, then the people right behind there go into the brood chamber and brush off the young bees.
Wow.
The nurse bees.
That sounds like a lot nicer.
It's better for the person buying the package.
But it's also nicer on the bees rather than being shook.
Being shaken so hard, yeah. Me, I wasn't that nice to the bees. I would take those supers off that had older field bees, and I had a stand where the bee box was placed, and then we used a bee blower.
Yeah.
And we blew the bees out, and they went down a sliding board into a big, heavy wire cage that would hold about 5 kilos of bees at one time.
Yeah, that's what ours did.
Yeah.
I think it was 5 kilos.
Yeah, and then
My numbers might be. I think it was either 5 or 15. But
that's
I'm pretty
the temporary.
Sure it's 5.
That's the temporary stage.
Yeah.
And then from that big collector box, you would go over to where the scale was.
Yep.
And
So we would put our box on the scale, and then the bees would be weighed. So we'd tear the scale.
Yeah, that sounds a little harder. And that's probably just as effective, but it seemed to be more efficient to fill up a big container with 15 kilos and then, well, maybe not 15, I'd say maybe 7, 8 kilos. And that's enough to fill 7 or 8 wire screen packages or tubes or however you're shipping them. And that's the part that went on the scale.
Okay, so we would put them in these hives, and then more often than not, for the times that I was there, I would be the driver because shout out to Steve Wotton, he gave us free dinners at the brewery in Oamaru. So I'd go down to Oamaru with a trailer and a loader with all these hives on.
Yeah.
And I'd take them kind of at dusk time, so they were more settled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at dusk time, they were more settled. And then I'd drive them down and I'd meet a gentleman called Shane. And Shane would pop them on a cooler truck, and then he would drive them from the South Island to a ferry port between the South and the North. They'd then get driven up all the way up to the top of the North Island.
Mm-hmm. Closer to Canada.
Close to...
No, closer to Canada. Then the flight is a little shorter, you know?
And then they'd go from Auckland out.
Mm-hmm.
So but these bees were... Like, we looked after them. I mean, the company that I used to work for, the guys that looked after their bees, like, they genuinely cared about them, and that's how I learned to beekeep. So they have to have done something right.
Oh yeah, you want
but
to
that's how they looked after them.
You want to stay in the business, so you take care of them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we would take them down to the coast and then we'd cross-check them there, and then everything would get signed off, and they'd go up to Auckland, and then someone in Auckland would put them into packages and send them over.
I see.
So they travelled really far. When the bees come to Canada, they're not coming from one space. Like, they've been on a heck of a journey.
Yeah, that's awful.
That's where these conversations that we had earlier, I don't know if it's fortunate or not, but I've seen the whole system now. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, we have to be better than this. Mm-hmm. And that also then alludes to why I would react the way I reacted to your thing of saying, well, how do you feel if we send them down to Mexico?
Yeah,
and I'm like,
no, not Mexico. We're going to go much further south than that.
Go to Argentina.
Argentina
has a small place there called Patagonia, and they speak Welsh. Fun fact.
No.
Yeah, they do.
See, I would have thought that people in Patagonia spoke Spanish, but what do I know?
Just it's a small place.
Are they beekeepers?
I don't know.
Have you been there? Have you been there?
I haven't been there, but my mum told me the other day that my partner and I should go to South America and go hiking down there, because my partner also loves wearing Patagonia gear, so I feel like it's only right that
You're advertising it anyway, so you might as well be going there. I haven't been to Patagonia.
Welsh.
There you go. You'll be able to speak Welsh when you get there. I like Chile. I did some teaching in Peru.
Oh, cool.
And I really, really like Peru.
Yeah, we have a really good friend from Chile.
Yeah, and Chile I've been there several times and worked with beekeepers there.
Have you?
Yeah.
I have a question. Where's your favorite honey from in the world? If you could
Yeah.
only eat one type of honey for the rest of your life,
There's a
which
small
honey would
town
it be?
called Valmarie in southern Saskatchewan. And I kept bees there. And the moisture level was so low that you could take a jar of honey and flip it upside down. The honey was so dense that the honey would stay above for the longest time, and the air would slowly work its way up through this extraordinarily dense,
No way.
super white honey, so white that it was as clear as water. I used to export honey from there, and I'd have the guy come in from the capital of Saskatchewan, from Regina, and he worked for CFIA, which is Canadian Food Inspection Agency, and he had to inspect my honey before I could export it. And he always joked with me, but it was true, that he had to note and write down the color of the honey. And to do that, he had these little samples that he would compare my honey with. And he says, I don't have any samples that go that far because it was so super white. It was remarkable. So that would be the honey.
What did it taste like? What was
Very, very mild. Like, so it just, you could blend it with anything. You could put it on anything. It didn't overwhelm. It didn't have spicy, odd kind of flavors. It was just a very mellow, soft flavor. Sweet, yep. And one of my favorites was to get a bowl of ice cream and put some blueberries on it and then drizzle honey on top of that. And oh my goodness.
Vanilla ice cream?
It has to be vanilla, yes.
Do you know New Zealand consumes the most ice cream per capita in the world?
Oh, I want to go there.
Yeah, makes
My
me wanna
friend
go
from
there.
Chile told me that, and that's why he moved there originally.
Yes, yeah, it would certainly be an incentive for anybody to move there.
So do they have really good ice cream there? Yeah, dairy stuff is
I
there.
guess so,
Yeah.
huh?
It's all right.
Tell
What's
me,
your favorite flavor?
Who's the most famous beekeeper that ever lived in New Zealand?
I should say my old boss, Steve Watton.
Oh,
In my, I know, I don't know from that. There's a couple of guys that come to mind, but from my most famous in my circle, I'd
not
say
in your circle.
not in
Think
my
bigger.
circle.
Think broader. World renowned.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot here because I'm not
I
I'm not a
am.
historian.
And I'm so
with
sorry
these
for that.
things.
That's being
okay.
mean. I'm being mean. No, Sir
You
Edmund
teach
Hillary.
Me some things. Oh yeah, I do know that actually. Sir Edmund Hillary
Yeah.
was a beekeeper after. It was
Before and after.
Yeah, someone was telling me that the other day, and I was
Yeah.
absolutely flabbergasted. Like
He grew up on a beekeeping farm, and
Yeah.
his father was so harsh to the boys that his father was really pushed the kids to do extraordinarily hard work. When they're 15, 16 years old, he said he was built like these huge muscles all over his body. And during the off season from beekeeping, they ran 1,400 colonies of bees way back in the early 1950s. Because I think Hillary was about 53 or 54 when he climbed Mount Everest.
Yeah.
With,
Do you think he had honey in his pack?
undoubtedly.
Yeah, he had.
Maybe that's where it all
undoubtedly.
comes from.
Yeah.
the-
And then Tenzing Norgay was his partner
Sure, but
when they climbed
I
the
wonder
mountain.
what was in his bag. How
What
many kilos
was
of
his
honey
bag?
was,
Yeah.
was in that
But
bag?
certainly. But
But
he
the first person to climb Mount Everest.
was Sir Edmund
Was a
Hillary,
beekeeper.
and he was a full-time commercial beekeeper. And after he climbed it, and I read his biography, and after he climbed it, he told his brother and some friends that, well, that was nice, but I'm just going to go back to the farm and continue to be a beekeeper, because he didn't really realize that it was such an extraordinary thing. And it brought him, within a few months, it took time, surprisingly, but within a few months he started to get calls to go speak here and there and to, write memoirs and to teach other people. And anyhow, it was a really amazing story that just a farm boy from New Zealand who
what they all are.
was a beekeeper.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a
And
big
you knew
industry
that.
there.
You were just holding out on me because I know that you knew that. I could see it
I
in
did
your face.
actually. Yeah, I did know that.
Yeah.
I think I learned that this year, so maybe my brain hasn't quite caught up to.
Oh, it's about a year behind, is it?
I think so. I still think I'm 30. I'm not.
Oh.
quite.
Well, who else is a beekeeper? King Charles.
I did know that. He's the guy. So I looked at going
Mm-hmm.
to work in Scotland for a wee while, and I just and my dad was putting me off by all the they have sandflies like no one's business there. And so my dad was like, you sure you want to go up there? But the beekeepers that I was going to work for in Scotland looked after Charles's...
Royal.
Royal beehives.
Yeah.
King Charles, the Prince of Wales that can't speak Welsh.
Well, they do a very...
Oh, that's a stab. My goodness. You're not going to be allowed to go back to the UK.
I am.
Oh, that sounds...
His son
You're in his
is
land, you know that, right?
in Canada.
In Canada,
I think most people are these days, aren't they? The royals.
Yeah.
The royals are everywhere.
They're everywhere, yes.
The sun never sets on the British colonial past.
I mean, that's up for debate in the current state of the
I
world.
think so
but
too.
We're
Yeah.
not going to get too far into that.
No, I think I used to be extremely anti-royalist, extremely, and then it occurred to me that these people deserve some sympathy.
Oh, definitely.
Growing up the way they had to grow up.
It's a different world.
It's a different world, and I started to think, King Charles is just a few years older than I am, and I thought,
you have aged very well. He looks marginally older than you.
well, thank you.
Well, if he
That's very
tells you a
kind.
little bit about just what he's gone through, like,
It's tough. It's tough.
extraordinary.
But I thought, he has to go through his entire life without knowing what it might be like to go for a job interview
Oh,
or to
definitely.
learn a trade that his whole family has to depend
how
on.
sad.
Can I just just touch on that? So my partner is from Botswana.
Yes.
His parents are from New Zealand.
Okay.
And so the royal boys, Harry and William,
Mm-hmm.
used to go over to Africa and be normal.
Yeah.
And my partner refers to William and Harry as cousin Will and Harry as a
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah.
And we were in the UK 3 years ago. And we're driving through up to Buckingham Palace, and we're just on this tiki tour, and he said, should we just stop by and go and see cousin Will? And I'm like, huh? And he's like, we'll just go up there and see. And he was like, I reckon he'd know who I am if I said hello. And I just looked at him. But I agree with you. Like, they never had a sense of normality, and there's certain places in the world. In Scotland, there's certain areas that they get to be normal.
To be normal people.
And I think
yes.
that
Yeah.
everyone deserves a chance.
I think so,
Everyone
too.
needs us, and I guess beekeeping alludes to that. Everyone needs a space to be quiet
Yeah.
in their own head,
Yeah.
in their own world. And
Yeah.
beekeeping is, they should beekeep themselves. That's probably why Charles did it.
That's
because he
probably
got to
why
be-
he's very interested in science and ecology and nature. So that kind of fit for him to
Yeah.
get involved with the bees.
a quiet
But-
space.
But I also do really respect his sons both served in the military
Yeah, they-
and worked
Are,
as
yeah.
regular grunts.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know? And that's to be really respected.
They did a lot of training flights through our valley as kids. You
Yeah.
could see them, the jets.
Yeah, yeah,
And you'd say, oh, that's William.
yeah. Well, there was a news
Or they'd
piece.
go to Waitrose and
There was
buy
a news piece not long
pies.
ago about William showing up at a car wreck, driving the response helicopter.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, this guy is, despite all he had to go through to learn to use the right fork and to sit the right way and to
Yeah, yeah.
smile all the time, he's dedicated part of his life to doing things that demand real respect.
I think if you have the opportunity to do better,
Mm-hmm.
they have taken
Yeah.
that opportunity with both hands, and
That's
done that.
admirable, very
Yeah.
admirable.
you
Yes.
know they could have
Yeah.
ate scones and drank tea, and instead they've
Yeah.
gone out to the world and said, let's make it a better place. And
That's
so you
right.
have to admire them for that.
I certainly do.
You have to admire anyone really. But
Weren't
Yeah.
they in the car when the car accident? Or
No,
no, that's
no,
the late.
they were
the
not.
late mother.
I think I'm thinking of Joe Biden's wife also passed away in a car accident, and both of the sons were in the vehicle, Beau
Oh my
Biden
goodness.
and Hunter
Really?
Biden. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
Wow.
about that. Yeah.
Anyway, beekeeping in New Zealand.
Beekeeping in New Zealand.
Lara Croft. I channeled my inner Lara Croft quite a few times when we were there.
Uh-huh.
We chased a lot of Manuka crops. So the company that I was working
You
for.
look a bit like Lara Croft.
Thanks.
Yes.
I'm definitely not as active as her too is. Coming to Canada and eating all that corn and sugar has not done any favours. My mother would be appalled if she saw me right now. But hey.
Oh?
Yes.
Well, she might
Canadian
be watching
Canadian
you right
diet
now.
is not
You know
the
that?
one.
But Zena will send her the link.
But we
could use the viewers.
We chased a lot of Manuka in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So my first year of beekeeping was amongst some incredible people and incredible opportunities, and we exported a lot of Manuka to Singapore and globally now. There's a lady called Rebecca that works for Taylor's Pass, and she has gone global and marketed Taylor's Pass Manuka honey and all our other honeys like no one else's business. And
Let's talk about Manuka a little bit.
Manuka, my partner's favorite honey and the most expensive product. Honey product on the market. It's a great combination.
Is it a strong flavored honey?
It's a very strong flavored honey. I think this is maybe gonna slightly go off tangent, but it plays into this. Is that North America, and I'm only because I'm learning about honey in North America. There's not so much of a conversation around flavors in honey. So I think, from my experience, I remember being in the bush on the west coast of New Zealand, and I was with my manager Steve at the time, and we were inside this hive, and Steve said, "Taste this," and we did, when you're out in the bush and you're a bit hungry and your lunch is a couple of minutes walk away, and you're like, I could do with a bit of glucose, and so you whack your finger in a frame of honey and stick it in your mouth through the veil, and it was this really eucalyptus kind of. He said, just let it sit in your mouth, and my mouth started to purge. And I was dribbling, but there was this sweet, when you put the eucalyptus in a bath or something and your skin purges, so you start to sweat.
I personally have not done that.
Okay,
I'm over 50 and I'm a male, but that's...
So you go for a sauna and you put your scents on the rocks and then you sweat a load. You do that anyway in a sauna. But anyway, so I tasted this honey, and it was the first time that I'd ever really properly tasted honey, and I let it sit on my tongue as if it was a wine that I was tasting, and I let it be in my mouth without eating it, and I had this whole experience of flavors, and then I swallowed, and I was left with a totally different flavor to the one that I'd tasted when it was in my mouth, and that was my first kind of
real honey. Is
so different in so many different places. And so Manuka honey, to me, has quite a dark, strong taste. It smells similar to diesel, again, to me. And I wouldn't eat it all the time. Whereas my partner loves Manuka honey. If we could afford to buy high UMF Manuka honey in Canada, we'd probably have bought hundreds of dollars worth right now.
Yeah.
So it's an acquired taste. It's definitely the higher UMF. So UMF stands for unique Manuka factor.
Right.
The higher it is, the more potent the taste is for me. And people.
Is it kind of like a blue cheese thing where it's a desired taste? Or?
Yeah, I'd say a blue you put blue cheese and Manuka honey and some avocado and a good beef patty.
Ooh.
Eesh, talking a very good burger. But it's an acquired taste. It's quite strong. You can get lower UMF Manuka, so lower unique Manuka factor honey, and the taste is quite mild. It tends to be in more widely bought honeys, so more people would buy a lower UMF because it's more economically viable for people to do that. Right. But yeah, Manuka has quite an acquired taste, fresh out the hive. You can smell it as soon as you lift the lid off a hive and they've been flown back down from the hillside. You know that you've got a good crop.
Amazing.
You adapt to those. I did 2 years of it, 2 seasons of them chasing Manuka. And they were incredibly fun.
Well, you started the right way, though, with that chunk of honey on your tongue.
Yeah.
That, what an introduction. What a great introduction. Steve, the guy that I used to work for, he knows flavors, honey flavors like the back of his hand. He's really good. And when he gets in the kitchen and makes relishes and stuff,
when his wife wasn't making his sandwiches and Steve was making them, Helen makes great sandwiches too, but when Steve was making the sandwiches, they were like a neck, like he would make relish using honey and stuff, and he kind of just knew. Steve has bee kept for like 30 odd years.
So when you guys had lunches, you would always say, who made the sandwich?
We often shared lunches.
You wanted to check who made that sandwich before you traded with him.
Steve would give me a sandwich if we were on the West Coast in the middle and one of us was driving and the other one would feed.
Tell me a little bit about the Manuka plant. Do you know it? Would you recognize it?
So you have Kanuka and Manuka, who are sisters, cousins.
Okay.
However you want to describe them. And
that's not in the eucalyptus family, is it?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
I think it is.
I don't think it is.
But it looks and smells like it would be, and the bark of the Manuka.
Okay.
But I think you're right. Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
But it grows in a really similar area.
Such as?
So there's. I don't know too much about the exact, but I know that the soil temperature has to sit at a consistent 14 degrees.
Oh.
So it has to be quite.
Warm?
You have to fact check me on this. Yeah, the soil has to be quite warm,
but not too hot.
Not too hot, and it has to be consistent, and that's just to get a good crop.
Yeah.
And then, so Manuka is mean because the leaves and the shape of the petal is a lot sharper than Kanuka, who is kind, and so her leaves are rounded. Her petals are rounded.
Okay.
And so when you're looking for Manuka for Manuka, they look very similar, but they're very different in the honey, in the nectar that's produced by them.
Wow.
And Manuka, so we used to fly our hives up to altitude in order to get a monocrop of Manuka, because you could get a mix of Manuka and stuff, and then your UMF, so your unique Manuka factor would be lower because it would be, I guess in Canada everyone refers to mixed flavours as wildflowers.
We tend to, but there are some specialty honeys, just not in the western part of Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, out here, almost all the honey is light, mild. Whether it's from canola or from the clovers, it's basically the same color and very similar.
Very similar taste, hey? We tried an alfalfa honey when we first arrived here. Herman said, try this. Gee whiz, that's got a taste to it, hey? It's quite bitter. I found it.
No, are you sure it was alfalfa? Because alfalfa is not bitter at all.
It was like sweet, but when it sat, like really, really, like open the jar and it's like sweet. And then I ate it and I allude to the fact that we all have different palates, but I ate it and at the end of it there was a bit of a, and I was like, what's that? And I was talking to my friend from California who's also a beekeeper, and he said that he thinks that the reason the alfalfa honey, that I got that from the alfalfa, is because when the bees go into the alfalfa, it kind of kicks them back out, like it flops back out.
Yes.
And so the bees, it's all nice and sweet for their journey in. And then at the end of it, they're like,
oh, that's cute. That's
and
really
so
cute.
He was
I like
kind of
that.
like, that's the flavour. That's where you're getting that flavour from.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's true. But
No,
it makes
it's not
sense.
true, but it's a really cute story. I love that story. So for those people who don't know, alfalfa has a way of setting its seed where the stamen has to kind of pop or move, and if a bee comes in to take the nectar from the alfalfa, it will trip, as we call it, the flower into pollination. And that tripping hits the honeybee on the side of the head forcibly. It hurts. So the honeybees quickly learn not to access the flower directly, but instead they get around it and they don't pollinate the alfalfa as well, which is why we have the leafcutter bee for alfalfa pollination, because they don't learn. And they keep getting hit in the head, but they keep coming back and doing it again and again and
They're
again.
Definitely not domesticated then.
Okay, you got me on that one. They're definitely not domesticated because they're too dumb.
Yeah.
Anyhow, that's what's happening with that. But no, the alfalfa honey that we know of here is extraordinarily mild, but it can be quite sweet. And
it's like a dark orange, hey?
No, it's white out here.
What did Herman give me?
I think the honey that Herman, it looks more of a, like a dandelion wildflower. It's an amberish color.
Yeah, it's amber. Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say.
Could
like
have
kind
been-
of the honey kind of from your backyard.
Mhm,
It's kind of the color
from
of it.
from the wildflowers.
Yeah.
Carragana.
Carragana,
have
yeah, I've heard of
been. I
Carragana
don't
honey.
know. It could have been dandelion.
It was like I didn't mind it. It was pretty good.
When
Yeah.
when did you taste that?
Oh, so when I first got here and I started working for him, and I said, "Have you got some honey for me?"
Okay. So it was already in the jar.
Yeah, it was already
so
in the
it
jar.
in
There's
a
no, like-
plastic container.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I don't know.
It was from last season. But
Mm-hmm.
there's another honey in New Zealand that's totally underrated called Rātā honey.
Never heard of it.
Rātā honey is waiting for its day. It's incredible. You should put a link to it in people's bios, in your bio for this.
Okay.
It flowers like
Can you
one.
spell that?
Yeah, Rata, Rātā.
Rata.
Rātā honey. It's dead weight when it gets inside the hive, and it has these beautiful red flowers, and they kind of spike out, and they look like a wee firework.
Does it make a fruit?
No, it doesn't make a fruit.
Okay.
And it has this huge nectar pocket, and when the bees get on it, and they solely get on the Rātā once it's like every 4 to 7 years that it flowers.
Oh my goodness.
And it is I've mentioned her a few times, but my partner's mum loves Rātā honey. And when I started beekeeping, she was like, "Have you got any Rātā honey?" And I was like, "Oh, hold up." And then the last season, 2 seasons ago at the company that I was working for, we started spotting the flower come up on the hillside of the West Coast, and the boys got so excited. Steve's like, "Get all the hives over there. We're chasing the Rātā."
Oh wow.
And the boxes were like, I remember there's a picture of me, and I'm stood and it's bucketing down with rain, and we'd gone over to under super all our hives because we were like, we've got to try and get as much as we can of this crop.
Okay.
And I'm like lifting them up, and we'd stacked them, and so I'm like, I'm gonna be generous. I'm like 5'7", maybe 5'6". I think I'm like debatable 168. And so the boxes
on a good day.
On a good day, I'm 168. On a bad day, I'll take them
I think the
167.
sun is shining and the moon is full.
Okay.
Yeah.
Depends if I brush my hair or not, you know.
Oh yeah. You put it up in the beehive.
Up in a beehive.
Yes.
But anyway, the box is like stacked probably like 1.5 foot above me. So this is like a solid stack of, and I'd said I was with Byron, and Byron said, "Are you sure you want to under super that? Because if you under super it, you're the one collecting the honey from the top." And so sure enough, like a few weeks later, and I'm like, "We're getting as much of this honey as we can." And so a few weeks later, I go back, and he's like, "Go on then, Luz, get the box."
Yeah.
And so I'm like,
stand on a box.
clambering on top of these boxes, and this honey was the heaviest honey.
Wow.
Like we spin full depths, so they're marginally heavier, and the nectar that came, nectar obviously then turns into honey, right? That came from this Rātā flower is like no way I have ever tried to lift in my entire life. Like you're talking like 50. I may be wrong on this, but like 50 odd kilos for a box.
Yeah.
And you're trying to like lift a 50 kilo box like off a hive right in front of you, and you put yours like, and this is like, you have to do this twice, right? Because you lift it off, and then because you want to be kind to the bees who've just done all this hard work, so you put an escape underneath it, and then you go back a few days later, and now you've got to like, you've lifted those boxes once, you got to lift them again.
Yes.
And you're talking like 20 odd hives with like 7 boxes high, or like 5, 6, 7 boxes high. I have never lifted weights like that in my life, nor do I ever wish to do that again. But the honey that came out of it was like this. You're talking about like a crystal clear, like translucent, just absolutely delicious Rātā honey.
Wow.
Couldn't recommend it enough to anyone.
All right.
Just really great, beautiful flower, beautiful honey.
You know, there's this honey that
Could Steve send some to you that we could all taste?
I'm sure I can.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, I can
That'd be
ask them
nice.
to.
Yeah.
I don't know what they. It's kind of hard to get stuff over out of New Zealand and into. They're in the States, so the company that I used to work for now sell. Rebecca, their marketing lady, worked her bum off and got them into lots of
Good for her.
markets. Yeah, Taylor's Pass honey is across the States. It's awesome. They're selling stuff there.
No, I was just gonna say, my brother's brought back honey from Georgia, and it's this orange like color, when it crystallizes, but it's very viscous even when it starts to granulate. And when I look at Manuka honey, I'm like, wow, I kind of see a resemblance. And actually, they are in similar families. It's in the eucalyptus family, you mentioned earlier. And so there's a lot of eucalyptus pollination in Georgia. And that honey that I've tried, you know, even the grain, the granulated honey, it's so soft. Just like breaks apart in your mouth. And I don't know, I have been sorting out for that flavor for a long time, and
you have to start importing it.
Yeah.
You can add it and start selling it to your boxes, and then they'll be like these supersonic boxes that get fed Georgian honey.
I know they're bringing in Ukrainian queens.
There's a lot of... My partner was alluding to the fact that we see lots of doom and gloom, but wars bring innovation, right? And so there's a lot of great things coming out of Ukraine, such as queens coming over here and massive tech industries as well coming out.
While we're kind of talking about Manuka, I think there's a big reason why people love these New Zealand bees is because for some reason they think, oh, I'm going to get something like Manuka honey. But it's all dependent on the flower here.
Oh, massively.
Right. Because even if I bring Georgian bees, you kind of need the plant.
You need the plant. Yeah. I don't think Manuka's going to grow up in Canada.
No, but it's that's kind of like, I wonder if there's like a scientific study done on the medicinal benefits of different.
That we were speaking about this before, like you go into the supermarket, or I find I go into the supermarket here, and honey is. There's no real variance in honey in the supermarket.
Yeah,
it's just...
If you go to a health food store or somewhere like that, you might see that variation, and they might tell you about the medicinal values of the honey. But in general, people here are just getting the honey as a sweetener.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And in New Zealand, people don't. I wouldn't say that it's as big as it used to be, but people... My partner's family, for example, will, when I go and do my like friends and family order, I get like a huge variety of orders come from them. So I like almost every honey that we used to produce would be requested, and so I'd order this, and it's wonderful because they're using it, like his aunt uses it for making chocolates or putting inside different chocolates, and they use it for different dressings because there's so many different notes that come from honey flavors. And we were talking about that before, like in Canada, I've spoken with Herman about this, that I don't think that there's this poignancy on its sweetener. It's not a flavor.
Right.
I think there's a massive difference in that.
That's right, particularly in this part of Canada. If you're in the east, there are greater varieties of types of honey.
Yeah.
And we have a plant here called buckwheat.
Oh, I do not like buckwheat honey.
Okay, you know about it then. It's black, it's very strong flavored. Yeah. It apparently is considered to be more healthy because of the higher mineral content. I don't know about its antibacterial properties, the way Manuka was discovered to have such strong traits in that direction. But so we have that. We have some clovers are back in. What have you got there?
Oh, nothing. My phone camera died, so we're just going to record from the.
Oh no.
Okay.
Well, it's fine. We continue.
Yeah. But out west, our honey is pretty homogeneous. It's pretty much just a plain white, soft kind of innocuous kind of a honey. But the scandal with Manuka honey. I don't know if you guys ever talked about that. Yeah. They produce about maybe 20 million pounds a year, but sell about 50 million pounds a year. Yeah.
But that's kind of, about the dip in that, hey? So that happened, and then
I do know.
Which is great. Like at the time, it wasn't great, but I also think it's good for the consumer. Like first and foremost, it's like a lot of these health products that we buy these days. They're glorified. Yeah. Whereas Manuka is wonderful.
Yes.
And
pure, I get real like Manuka, but when they take clover honey and they mix a tiny amount of Manuka and then dump in the UMF chemical molecules
yeah.
and to beef up the rating
Yeah.
on the honey. That was the scandal. That was pretty
But
awful.
they there's kind of I guess I don't know if it's a gap in the market. I think that North America's palate is changing. We, as a world, we're trying to move forward to being like more healthy and stuff like that. And so maybe we'll see more of these people looking into. You were talking about is it a bushfire honey?
Firewood honey.
Yeah,
Fireweed.
fireweed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And from like you'll see it growing, but it loves to come out during fire season.
Yep, you said that, and
Yeah.
you were saying that people chase that here.
Yeah, I've heard that people will after fire they will go bring their
It
hives.
usually takes about a year or two later, so it's not right after a fire.
It's not right after.
No,
Oh,
no.
I see.
So
The-
Jasper would be the time to go there now.
You're right. You're right. In
Yeah.
around that area, there probably is a lot more fireweed than there would have been before, but its seed has to be heated in order to crack the shell
Yeah.
and for it to germinate properly.
Yeah.
So that's one aspect, but the other is the fire clears off everything else.
Okay.
So this shrub, well, it's not a shrub, it's a weed. It's a gets to be, I don't know, maybe a meter and a half tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it needs to be free, like it has to have sun exposure
Yeah.
and not be shaded by all those trees.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would grow in that kind of area. I knew a guy in Saskatchewan, he told me this, that there had been a fire a couple of years earlier, and they were out driving around in the north part of Saskatchewan, and they found acres and acres of this beautiful, just seas of purple, it's also called willow herb or fireweed. And they decided they would take one bee yard that was further south in the middle of clover fields,
Yeah.
and they picked all those bees up, like 40 colonies, hauled them up, put them out there right in the middle of all this beautiful blossom, piled the supers on, didn't make a drop of honey.
Too late.
No, I don't know. It's a fickle, like it doesn't bloom well every year.
I have a
So-
question for you then. Do you think that honeybees get an acquired taste? Like if you have a honeybee on a certain crop or a certain area and you move it,
I don't. No,
No?
I don't think so, because I used to truck honeybee colonies like off
Yeah,
the
yeah.
orange blossom and then move them up into the gallberry area of North Florida, South Georgia.
so two pollinations.
Well, that was more for a honey crop,
Okay.
and within a day or two, they were back to working whatever's
Working with
local.
it. Yeah,
So I don't
Are
think
those plantations like netted or are they open space?
the what?
The plantations for the oranges, do they have
Oh,
net?
no, they're open. They're
Open.
open to the
That's-
air.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, no nets. I guess they don't have the birds or the other
No.
problems. That,
We used to pollinate cherries.
yeah, and those would often be netted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite often.
Because of birds.
Because of birds.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'd net them and then the bees would only be able to. So we'd have to feed them, poor buggers. And they'd go around and pollinate. That was interesting. That was
Yeah.
great fun.
Yeah.
But hard work. We used to load up the trucks, come hail, rain or shine.
Oh yeah, especially
Do that.
towards the evening, and
Big
I would-
days.
Yeah, I'd load, like the way I did it is I didn't like to offload the colonies in the middle of the night
Okay.
for a couple of reasons. One is that wherever you're taking them, somebody else lives nearby. And at 3 a.m. to have a big truck come into, back there that you don't expect and you don't know
Yeah,
who
yeah,
it
yeah.
is. And, I don't like to bother people like that. And you can't really see as well of where you're
Yeah,
going
yeah,
or
yeah.
where you're offloading and so on. So I would always load the bees in the evening when they quit flying. Like you mentioned, dusk.
Yeah.
And the bees quit flying, so they're all in the hive, and then let them sit overnight on the back of the truck. And
Okay.
then wake up at 4 a.m, and by 5 a.m, you can be
Offloading them.
offloading.
Did you close your hives up to do that, or you
No.
just no? We never closed ours either.
No.
But you had a net
No.
over your.
Not for small loads, not at night. They're not going to fly at night.
No,
So,
we used to kind of smoke them and smoke them when we're loading them.
yeah.
And then you don't
Yeah.
really lose too many bees. Like they
No.
don't want to go out.
No.
They
No,
like,
and the rumble of the truck.
yeah.
seems
We
to,
used to.
You notice
you'd
that too.
Make sure you leave the engine
engine
running.
on. Yep.
So
yep.
whoever's driving, we'd have like an Avant, so a 4-wheel drive
Nice.
forklift, and it would come off.
Yeah.
And then you'd either have 1 or 2 trucks, and you'd load them. So you'd have 80 hives. So you'd have a double stack either side, on a flat deck. And then, so I worked last pollination, Justin and I worked together. And so I'd drive the truck, Jay would drive the Avant, and then he'd be like, and then he'd take the hive off and then go down the aisle, and then I'd drive to the next bit of the orchard, and he'd come down. But we would do that, so we'd load them in the evening, and then we would unload them that night as well. So we would knock out like 16, 18, occasionally 20-hour days. That's
hard work, but sometimes of the year you've got to do it. You got to do it.
It's agriculture, right? Short seasons, short stints.
Yeah.
You do a sprint and then you're. But
well, we probably are going to close here pretty quickly. Is there anything you want to ask us since you're here? Like, I asked you earlier, what's your favorite honey? You know that.
I know that.
Yeah, it was alfalfa and sweet clover, not canola.
Not canola. Well, if you were trying to encourage young people to come into the beekeeping industry in Canada and globally, what are the top 5 things that you would say to them, whether it's words of wisdom or not top 5, what are the 5 things that you'd say to them, whether it be words of wisdom or words of encouragement?
Right.
That you would...
Oh, I know the answer to that immediately. If I met a young person that was really interested, keen on being a beekeeper as a business, I would say, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's 5, isn't it?
That is 5.
I've always thought that anybody who could succeed and make a living keeping bees could be even much more successful doing almost anything else.
Okay.
So if you've got that kind of skill, that kind of talent, in other words, you're smart, you observe things, you're willing to work really, really hard, long hours, you don't mind taking the bee stings and all that, then why not become a physician? Why not become,
Because we need more beekeepers.
Do we?
We do.
I don't know.
We need young beekeepers.
I don't know.
Let's get out and do it.
Ask that lady back in New Zealand about whether there should be bees in North America. Maybe
your mother-in-law.
My mother-in-law.
Your mother-in-law. Well, not quite mother-in-law.
That's not quite. Yeah,
that's why I had to say that lady back there. That lady over there.
She's in Botswana. She's a woman running a business in Botswana.
Oh,
she's an incredible woman.
Yes, she must be.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. So the things I would say, besides really think hard about it, because it's not an easy life, is, and I got out of it. Like, I kept bees for 15 years on a commercial scale in Saskatchewan and Florida. And then I went to university and became a geophysicist. Yeah. And I did that partly because I had a couple of years in a row without honey production.
Yeah.
We got hit by a drought. There just wasn't any rain. There weren't any flowers. There wasn't any nectar. There wasn't any honey. So I got out of the bee business. And also, at the same time, the honey market tanked. So it was roughly half of, so the little bit of honey that I did make, I sold that retail. If you make, such a small amount, you might as well get the highest price. But commercial beekeepers in areas that didn't get hit by the drought as badly as I did also went out of business at that same time. So I went out and I became a geophysicist, and I love science. I love working with, figuring things out. So that was kind of a fit for me. But, and then I still dabble with bees. Like, I still have a couple hobby colonies. I do this podcast with Bezina. We're doing, and I did run another 500 colonies of bees once I became a geophysicist.
Oh, cool.
For a little while, with family help running that, not me.
That was with Joe?
No, not with Joe. It was another brother of mine. I have lots of brothers.
How many brothers do you have?
6. No, 5 brothers. I'm number 6.
Yeah,
or I'm in the middle, but I'm one of
You've got 5.
I have just one brother, 3 sisters.
Okay.
5 of us. But.
Yeah, there were 5 of you. Yeah, see, 10 in my family.
We're 2.
Yeah, because we also. What's that?
We're just 2.
Just 2. See, that doesn't count.
It does.
That just maintains the population. You're not kind of overrunning.
Great friendship. It's easy. I only have to remember one birthday, and even that one I still sometimes forget.
Yeah. But see, I have it easier because with so many, nobody expects their birthday to be remembered.
That's true.
So you just kind of ignore it, right?
I'm like,
no gifts. Because
mail's late.
That's what you would think, but they get offended in my family.
Oh, my brother does this thing where he sends like my birthday card and my Christmas present in January, because obviously my birthday's in February, so he cuts postage
that's
in half.
smart. Yeah, that's
Is it smart,
very
or
clever.
is it just making me wait an extra 6 weeks for a Christmas present?
No, I don't know. I think it's brilliant, actually. So
trying to reduce the carbon footprint.
one word of encouragement.
Okay.
Or one sentence of
I'll get to that. I first want to distract and discourage people. So find something else you can do for a living. But if you insist, and you have to be a commercial beekeeper, and you really want to make that your life, then I would say work for a lot of different beekeepers.
Yeah.
And not just kind of stand in the corner and watch them work. You know, do what you did. Do what you did, Laura. Like, get out there, get in the hive, learn from them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's critical. I would also say you have to be comfortable with living on almost nothing, because you want to put your money back into the bees. You don't want to, be splurging or doing things,
No, like eyelash treatments midweek.
Say that again?
No midweek eyelash treatments.
No. Mine is just once a month. So you have to look at your personality and say, does this fit me? Is this what like a lot of people my age, not a lot, but some people my age kind of came through the hippie movement. I was not a hippie, but I certainly lived like one.
Yeah.
And I knew other beekeepers starting out who also, would sleep in an old barn on a property where the bees are kept.
Steve did that. He tells me tales of sleeping in his caravan.
I think I like Steve.
Steve's a really hard worker. Like and he's an incredible beekeeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you get on a bee site with him, it's like all those guys, like Kim, when it's the two of you in a hive next door to each other, it's wonderful. And I will always be grateful for the questions that they answered, even on rainy days when they didn't want to. So much of my bee knowledge, and I say this to Zena, like, he's like, where did you learn these things? And I'm like, there's Steve, Justin, and Kim are three guys that taught me so much, and my good friend Noah. Like, we are always back and forth about innovative beekeeping and stuff. So
right. And this is all in New Zealand.
Noah's in California, and then and then the rest of the guys are in New Zealand. But it's so important. Like, it's so important to have a good group of people around you that you can ask questions to, because that's how. The
upside, the positive side, I would say, is you can connect with people all over the world who have a similar interest as you, and there's something to connect with, to talk about, and yet there's enough variety, just as what we just went through with you just now. And you've been so lucky to be able to experience all these different things, to live in these different climates, to learn about how different plants grow and so on. So one of the things you get out of being a beekeeper, besides you can become your own boss, you run your own show, but then that comes with a lot of responsibility and a lot of hard work. But you get that, and you get to meet and learn about people all over the world, and you get to enjoy something that you can feel good about, like you're producing food that other people are going to be eating. And to me, that's a really neat gift to the world. I think that's something.
I thoroughly agree with you.
No, I agree. Yes. Well, we're about 2-hour mark here, so we should probably wrap up. But
I didn't even notice that.
You're just getting started, aren't you?
We're just getting started.
Move over here a little bit. Let me just get in the camera.
How are you?
Oh, maybe I can move over.
Yeah. Well, no, that's perfect. Well, apologies, everyone. Our camera died, and we're using a different format for this last 20 minutes. But this has been a wonderful episode with Laura Barritt.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. No, it's been great, and I think this is going to be a two-parter.
Oh, gee.
It's up to you. You're doing the YouTube, and if it works better that way, I'm probably going to throw this out as one long, unedited. I might just let it go. Like I like to do the editing, but not. When
I've got
it's
24-hour grace period. Let's not forget.
Yes, you do. Yeah. Can you think of anything you've said here that you would really not have said?
Give anyone.
I don't think so. I think you're right. My beekeeping. I'm very fortunate to have the beekeeping experience that I had, and my introduction to the world of beekeeping was very fortunate. And I'm lucky to live the life that I live. I think you have to go out and do things that you want to do, and meet people, and you have to make things happen. And bees are really good at that. They're really good at deciding what to do. Even though we've domesticated them, they still do what they want to do.
That's brilliant. I love it.
Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to? Any family members, or I don't know, just any?
I feel like that's putting me on the spot, Bettina.
Oh no, just
I like the
I'll
way.
give a shout out to Bettina
like
for
the way you
introducing me
stopped.
to this.
Oh, okay. Shout out to
Or
Bettina.
we can just scrap that because I think the ending there was quite good.
I think so too. Now
well, no,
stop
we got to
there.
end it though. We'll join us next week, everyone, for a fresh episode about bees, culture, and curiosity.
Are you back to uploading every week now?
Yeah, we got the footage for it, so.
But you haven't been uploading every week.
Letting you
Wow.
down.
And you're telling people come back next week and maybe there'll be nothing there. What will they think?
Well,
It's like when we go back to a beehive and there's no honey.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's the same
Sometimes
thing. People
we-
are going to feel that.
we took a little bit of a vacation in
Everyone
July.
needs a break.
Did we?
Yes.
Okay. I still released a bunch of podcasts in July.
Yeah, but the video. But anyways, now this is gonna. Anyways, join us next week, everyone, for a fresh episode.
Or whenever.
Or whenever.
Whenever. Not next week.
Because they don't come next week anyways, but that's the ending slogan. Eventually.
Yeah.
Because if it takes off, it's
If it takes off.
When it takes off.
When it takes off, not if.
So when it takes off, it'll be every week, everyone.
Yeah.
So just
We're up to a few thousand downloads on the podcast.
I'll add one.
Not every hour, but
You'll get a couple from my family probably.
oh, that would be wonderful. Yeah, we need more people from your family, from Wales, tuning in.
we do because we need an international presence. But
Globalization.
yeah, we got about 133 subscribers on YouTube. It's slowly growing, and we love hearing from you. So join us next week for a fresh episode of About Bees.
Or
Culture.
whenever.
Okay,
Okay, folks, that's it. We're out of here. Goodbye. Good night. So long.